Mr. President, when we set out to do tax reform, we had two big goals that we wanted to achieve for the American people. First, we wanted to provide them with immediate relief on their tax bills, which we did by lowering tax rates across the board, doubling the child tax credit, and nearly doubling the standard deduction. Thanks to lower rates and the new withholding tables, Americans across the nation will start seeing bigger paychecks this month. But our objective went beyond tax cuts, as important as that relief is to the American people. We wanted to create an economy that would produce the jobs and opportunities that would provide Americans with security and prosperity for the long term. Before the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, our tax code wasn't helping to create that kind of an economy. In fact, it was working against it. Businesses large and small were weighed down by high tax rates and growth-killing tax provisions and all of the regulatory and compliance burdens that came along with them. And our outdated international tax rules left America's global businesses at a competitive disadvantage in the global economy. That had real consequences for American workers. A small business owner struggling to afford the annual tax bill for her business was highly unlikely to be able to hire a new worker or to raise wages. A larger business struggling to stay competitive in the global marketplace while paying substantially higher tax rates than its foreign competitors too often had limited funds to expand or increase investment in the United States. And so when it came time for tax reform, we set out to reform the business side of the tax code to benefit American workers. We knew that for American workers to have access to good jobs and opportunities, the American economy had to thrive. And that means that American businesses have to thrive. And so we took action to lessen the challenges facing American businesses. We lowered tax rates across the board for owners of small and medium-sized businesses, farms, and ranches. We expanded business owners' ability to recover investments that they make in their businesses, which will free up cash that they can reinvest in their operations and their workers. We lowered our nation's massive corporate tax rate, which up until January 1st was the highest corporate tax rate in the developed world. And we brought the U.S. international tax system into the 21st century by replacing our outdated worldwide system with a modernized territorial tax system so that American businesses are not operating at a disadvantage next to their foreign competitors. The goal in all of this, Mr. President, was to free up businesses to increase investments in the U.S. economy, to hire new workers, and to increase wages and benefits. Well, I'm happy to report, Mr. President, that that's exactly what they are doing. Even though tax reform has been the law of the land for less than 2 months, businesses are already announcing new investment, new jobs, better wages, and better benefits for workers. Tech giant Apple announced that thanks to tax reform, it will bring home almost $250 billion in cash that it's been keeping overseas and invest it here in the United States. It also announced that it will create 20,000 new jobs. Fiat Chrysler announced that it will be adding 2,500 jobs at a Michigan factory to produce pickups that it had been making in Mexico. Nexus Services is hiring 200 more workers. JP Morgan Chase is adding 4,000 new jobs and opening 400 new branches. Boeing is investing an additional $100 million in infrastructure and facilities and an additional $100 million in workforce development. Regions Financial Corporation is investing an additional $100 million in capital expenditures. FedEx is investing $1.5 billion to expand its FedEx Express hub in Indianapolis. ExxonMobil is investing an additional $35 billion in the U.S. economy over the next 5 years. And on and on. Mr. President, we are starting to see similar results, not just from larger and medium-sized companies, but from small companies too. For example, Jones Auto and Towing in Riverview, Florida, is putting 2 new tow trucks into service, which means new jobs for local workers. Then there are all the companies that are boosting their wage base. Bank of Hawaii, Charter Communications Incorporated, Berkshire Hills Bank Corp., Rod's Harvest Foods in St. Ignatius, Montana, Walmart, Cigna Corporation, Great Western Bank Corp. In my home state of South Dakota, Webster Financial Corporation, Capital One, Humana, and the list keeps going and going and going. And there are the companies increasing their 401k matches, boosting wages, creating or expanding parental leave benefits, improving health benefits. Mr. President, tax reform is already working for American workers. And as the benefits of tax reform accrue, we can expect more jobs, more benefits, higher wages, and more opportunities for American workers in the future. Mr. President, that is what tax reform was designed to do. Unleashing the entrepreneurial spirit in this country, providing incentives for American businesses to expand and grow their businesses, and in doing that, to create those better paying jobs, those higher wages, and that better standard of living for American workers and American families. It is having the desired effect. We are seeing it every single day in this country, Mr. President. This is not only a short-term thing, this is a long-term effect and change that will be good for the American economy and for American workers. Mr. President, I yield the floor.